here's some information about my project. It uses Raspberry Pi and OpenCV for object detection. And basically how it works is first it waits for an object to be detected, and then once an object, like a human face, or an entire human being, or you can change it to just be the upper body of a human, once either of those things is detected, it sends an image of that object to an assigned email. And there's also like a time limit of 30 seconds, so that it's not like annoying for the user to be constantly bombarded by emails. I chose this project because my neighbors have like a smart security camera in front of their door, so I wanted to see how those kinds of projects work. So here's like a software architectural diagram of my project. So basically, the camera sensor sends data to the Raspberry Pi, and then in the Raspberry Pi, that's where all the software magic happens. So in camera.py, OpenCV is important so that you can like process the data, right? And then in main.py, it determines whether an object is in that data. And then if an object is present in that data, then it sends an email using a method that was defined in mail.py over the internet connection. And here I can just demo it. So if I go to my terminal right here, can you see this? Just like comes up or anything? Okay. So if I type Python, actually I already typed it before. Let me restart it. Because sometimes it's just not responsive. Close, restart. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me just make sure everything is plugged in. That works. And this is all part of the process, so obviously I have to do this a lot of times. Load. If this doesn't work, I'll just continue on. Okay, that didn't work. Oh. Okay, maybe I'll try this later, but for now it doesn't work. So the two main hardware parts that I used in my program were the Raspberry Pi 3 and the camera module. So the Raspberry Pi 3 is basically like a computer that you can use for many different kinds of projects. And I obviously use the camera so that you can detect faces. One modification that I made was this website where you can see the live security feed. And actually it was working just a few minutes ago, but here was the live security feed. And then let me just open, zoom in. You can see that it was pointing towards the ceiling, and someone's laptop was right here. And you can also see that I've added like all this other documentation, such as the diagram from before that's in design, and then camera.py. All of those websites and pages are for viewing the details about those files. So next slide is about, actually here. One more modification that I made was switching from the Raspberry Pi 0 to the Raspberry Pi 3. The reason that I did this was because the Raspberry Pi 0 was really slow. It took almost like 12 hours for OpenCV to compile, and it took multiple attempts also. So obviously I didn't want to go through all that trouble because I kept getting errors and other random stuff like I just got now. So I switched to the Raspberry Pi 3, and it was faster. It took around 3 to 5 hours. But anyways, one thing that I enjoyed was making the website because it was less time consuming than the actual project, and programming in HTML and CSS was pretty fun. I also got used to the Python Flask framework, which you can use to do website development with Python. One challenge that I faced was getting the camera to work. So originally I was using like a third-party camera. That camera was actually, it used something called a V4L2 interface, and what that meant was I would actually have to install separate drivers and software for it to work, and I didn't know if that would break the original code that I already had pre-written for this camera. So instead of going through all that hassle, I just decided to use a camera made by the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and luckily I had one of those, so I just switched to this camera, and it worked. So in conclusion, I gained lots of experience in working in an engineer-like setting like this at Bootstand, and I also improved my skills in problem solving and software development. So in problem solving, you always have to research your problems. But what I specifically learned is how to find the good solutions and how to not use the bad solutions. Because you have to know which ones to use and which ones are not good. And on the software development side, I programmed the website and the camera. And if you want to see the code for the website, it's right here on my GitHub. You can see that I have all these different files and some CSS to style the website. And I also have the diagram from earlier before right here. And then I also had experience with installing the packages and using OpenCV in general. In conclusion, at Bootstrap, I met and worked with many new people, and that's probably the thing that I found the most fun from the program. And now I'll take your questions. But thank you for listening.
Maybe we start the camera and see this connect. It's a problem finding the solution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be like nothing with the battery.